This is Jay Michaels, and we are here at Phoenix FearCon. That's phoenixfearcon.com. And Phoenix FearCon, it's not just Phoenix FearCon this year, it's Phoenix FearCon X, and that X means 10. This is the 10th anniversary of one of Arizona's go-to events every year, and one of the leading film festivals in the country. I wanted to take this moment to introduce you to the brains behind it. I consider myself the mouth of FearCon, but I am certainly not the brains. With me are two individuals who are going to elucidate us on the brilliance that is FearCon and what makes it unique and special. With us is Chris McLennan, the founder of FearCon. And with us is Galen Christy. He is the, would I say president or CEO? What's the title? CEO. Initials, always better, always better. Of Octane Multimedia, the new sponsor of Phoenix FearCon. And from what I understand, both organizations are going through the roof in popularity, are going through the roof in visibility. And so I'm really thrilled to hear what's going on. Chris, ladies first, Phoenix FearCon. I was involved last year and I was really impressed. The level that you present with this is not just your, oh look, let's go see the guy that was killed in the Nightmare movie. No, yours is you work to educate filmmakers, you work to educate their audience. The films you choose are also a cut above. It's not just, oh look, someone's head got cut off. It's the plot, the moral, the storylines behind them. When one goes to see FearCon, it's a masterclass. And this year we have many masters presenting as well as on panels. Chris, tell us all about FearCon. It started quite humbly. Tell us where we were and where we are.
Well, where we were was 2006, where we created the FearCon out of the frustration of us attending other film festivals and me just being bored. So I decided to, every time I went to a film festival, make a list. What would I do if I ran a film festival? I'd like to have this or that and this or that. And finally, we created one in 2006 in a very small venue, a little art gallery in Phoenix that let us have it there. And the art gallery only held like 85 people, but 150 people showed up. So it impressed us that, wow, we can actually maybe do something with this. So it just grew from there. We went from a small art gallery to a couple of small theaters to a very large outdoor venue to studios. And now we're here where we are. And now we're not only live, we're virtual, but we include so many facets of what I like to see in a film festival. So it's not just screenings, which we love all the screenings that we have because we get over 150 submissions from filmmakers around the world. And it lets us really pick and choose what we feel are the cream of the crop from all those submissions. And that's where we like to focus on the independent filmmaker and all the blood, sweat, and tears that they go through to screen their films at our festival. And the best thing about that is that in addition to screening at our festival, the winners of the festival will also get a distribution contract from our sponsors, which filmmakers never ever think of that at the end. After everything is all said and done, the last thing they think about is where do I go from here? And where do I go from here is it would be nice if you had worldwide distribution of your film. And that's the opportunity that we give them. So
it's really interesting you say that. Whenever I speak to, I can be such a novice sometimes, and I don't know the impact of certain things. And half my audience thinks that means, oh, I know all about it. The other half knows that I'm learning it with them. And one thing is the distribution contract, the value of that. Whenever I say it to any of the filmmakers, oh yeah, I think you win a distribution contract if you're, and I see their faces and the majesty of that gift that you're giving them, the majesty of that award is really priceless. Yes, sure, plaques, honors, publicity, all of that, but you're giving them their future. You're really opening a door for them, and I think it's really brilliant.
Thank you. And it's just not only that, we also offer, as you said, educational concepts, which are the panels, the workshops, the celebrity appearances of people that, so they can pick the brains of the actual people that have been in some of their favorite horror movies. This year, we're also going to have a few performance artists. So the Professor Sparks guy who's coming is going to bring out all of the equipment that people used to see in evil scientist laboratories and how it works, which is fun. One of our celebrities is going to do his one-man show, his Pillar of Fire. Who's that? Bill Oberst Jr.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
And so it's just different levels of the horror genre are being exposed there with all the different facets, plus a lot of cosplayers and a lot of fun things that we're going to have planned that we don't want to talk about because it'll be a surprise.
That's right. That's right. And that I'm glad you mentioned Bill Oberst, because you bring this festival onto several levels that we don't see in other festivals. Number one is the education value. Yes, we have a panel about filmmaking and distribution, and it's not coming from some. We're not talking to Steven Spielberg, who has millions of dollars behind him trying to get it done. We're talking to real indie filmmakers on what they had to do. So it's so much more of an educational experience. We're also, you're right, in terms of celebrities. We have an award this year where we're honoring Lloyd Kaufman of Trauma Entertainment for 50 years of independent filmmaking and passing on his lessons. And the name of the award is the Reggie Bannister Award, after Reggie Bannister was taken the Phantasm film franchise. That's not easy to say, Phantasm film franchise. And how can I put it? And made it an institution. And he did it. He and his wife Gigi Bannister almost did it single-handedly. The promotion, the dedication, the fandom that they've created is quite amazing, and it shows what you can do. Even one person can make such a difference. It's really brilliant.
And we're really proud to have Reggie there. I think that this year is probably his final year of being able to go out publicly. He's decided to retire.
Yes. Yes.
So for us, it's a huge honor to have him there. And so it felt like right to name the award after him that we're giving to Lloyd.
It was also medicinal because, yes, he's doing it for health reasons. He wants he's maintaining his health, and it takes a lot out of him going to these events. But when I said, well, I hope you can make it, FearCon is honoring you with an award named after you, I get an email back saying, I'll be there. So there you go. I think somehow you helped cure him.
We made him feel better. That's good.
There you go. There you go. You also do something. Film festivals, okay, is film, right? But yours is a genre festival. We have a panel of 5 or 6 authors, of screenplays, of writers that are going to be there, and that's I'm really impressed at that. But an old theater man like me, what made me so impressed was Bill Oberst is presenting his one-man stage show for one night only at Phoenix FearCon. To have a film festival really care about the arts in terms of the theater is rare, to say the least, and is so commendable. So brava on bringing together all of the art forms that encompass the genre. So I think
we want everyone to
really
have
sets it
fun.
apart.
Yeah, we want everyone to have fun,
And
it'll be nice to have like the Umbrella Corporation going to be there, AZ cosplay team going to be there. They're going to have a shoot the zombies with Nerf guns little game outside. We've got a guy bringing a dead werewolf that you can take pictures with. So it's just, everything about that event is just for people to go and enjoy themselves inside the genre that they love.
a guy bringing a dead werewolf and shooting zombies with Nerf. Okay, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I challenge you. When in your lives have you ever said that sentence with a straight face? Anyway, I can't wait to see these exhibits. I can't wait to see all that's going on. So it's interactive, it's theatrical, it's literary, it's film. It's incredible. Simple as that. It's incredible. What made it more incredible this year is your sponsor, is the gentleman sitting next to you. I said this pithily before we started rolling. I watched a teaser reel for Octane Multimedia, and when I first turned it on, I thought, oh, this is cool. She has a film distributor who's working with her. That's great. And I watched it, and when I finished it, I didn't smile, I didn't laugh, I didn't applaud or anything like that. I just sat very quietly and said, this event is now elevated. What I'm seeing here is not just, oh, look, a distributor, a guy who's sending the movies out. No, we have something really special here in Octane Multimedia. And Mr. Christy, please tell us all about it. I'm really fascinated because, like I said, what I've seen in terms of promotionally from Octane Multimedia is really incredible. Tell us all about it.
We're a company that kind of started about 10 years ago, and what was kind of funny about it was I remember when Chris was telling me about the FearCon, I got really excited about it. I've always been a huge horror geek, and I actually remember attending the first FearCon, and we even had a booth, I think, at it or something like that. It was really fun though. I just remember thinking to myself, like, I hadn't really been to an event like this before. And so it was fun to kind of be part of that and kind of see it grow over the years, and to see kind of how Chris has built everything from the ground up is incredible. Where we kind of came involved is Chris and I have known each other basically since I was about 6. And as I kind of started my company, she and I kept always kind of talking, and she helped me actually find some of my first films I ever distributed and all that way back in the day. And in a lot of ways, I owe a lot to her for helping me over the years kind of build up what we've kind of built since and all that. But we really focus a lot on trying to find genre content that's usually within like the sci-fi, horror, action realm, if that makes sense. It's interesting because like when you see the stuff that's like submitted to FearCon, it's exciting because like you see a lot of creativity out there, and just being kind of a horror geek myself, it's exciting because you almost kind of get to see like an early preview of certain things that might be coming to market, pretty soon, or things that might have been out that you didn't get a chance to check out yet, or things like that. So it's really it's an exciting experience to kind of be here and be sponsoring the event like this. As well as offering, support for filmmakers, whether it be distribution or, general information, or just honestly checking out the content that we currently have out there in the marketplace. So we're really happy to be part of this.
That's great. That is great. What's your mission in terms of finding films for distribution? I'm sure it's more than just genre. Is there, when you watch a film, what goes through your mind when you say, okay, I want my name on that?
I've always kind of considered myself an emotional acquisitions guy, if that makes sense. And so whenever I was looking for films, I usually always wanted to sign the movies that I felt that I would want to watch over and over again. I've had a few films that I've worked with over the years that have been like maybe not exactly what I liked, but I usually try not to acquire anything if I can't find something about it that I really get into. And it's been kind of interesting because like over the years, I remember there was a film called American Terror years and years ago that Chris actually turned us on to. And it was interesting because it was just this gnarly movie. And I remember like the trailer on it. At first I wasn't really sure. I was kind of like, oh, okay, I might kind of fit, might not. But at one point during the trailer, it starts giving a comparable about what it's like. And it was something like Texas Chainsaw Massacre on bath salts. And I was like, that's ridiculous. And so I remember checking it out, and I actually really liked it. I thought it was just a crazy, crazy movie. It did remind me of Texas Chainsaw Massacre on bath salts, but it was a cool experience to kind of watch that. But yeah, I mean, overall, whenever I'm looking at content or trying to find something, a lot of it's really just about how it makes me feel and whether or not I get excited over it, or if I like something about it that kind of like, makes me want to watch it, from the starting point to the end point and all that stuff. I'm not very judgy. I know what it takes to make a film. And so, if I see that somebody's kind of struggled through the process, I get it, it's not a big deal. I just kind of say, keep going out there and just keep trying and polishing your craft. But what I do get excited about here is when I see something that is, let's say, story driven, but also at the same time, kind of like emotionally driven. I get really excited about that. I don't think horror is always like the most like structured of like the genres, if that makes sense. You can do so much with it. There's so many ways that you can kind of play around with it and all that. And I think, when I see something out there that's, just a little bit more wild or a little bit more crazy or something that's just kind of like, they've taken something and perfected it or whatever it is, I think I get really excited about that. So it's really about trying to find those things that really stand out, that are just different.
Very clever. Very clever. You talk like an artist.
Oh, thank you.
That was meant as a compliment. Yes, indeed. So many times I will speak to someone in your position and they'll say, well, if there's this in the show and we could make that much money and we could do, and as much as, of course, that's necessary. it's nice to hear that your first mission is finding something unique, finding something artistic, finding something that touches you. And when you combine such a thought with the horror genre, I've always felt that the horror genre is until recently, it has been underestimated. The parables within it, the characterizations. We're looking at our version of the Greek tragedy. We're looking at our version of the Shakespearean parable, the message in these things, the nightmare that may come true. If everybody just watched Idiocracy and Contagion, maybe we wouldn't be in this situation right now. But nonetheless, so when I hear of someone saying they look at the art, they look at something that touches them, I'm so heartened by it, which is great. I ask you both in terms of FearCon and in terms of Octane. You're both success, period, but and you're both doing it 10 years. That's very funny. But any success stories? Anything where you said, well, this guy, he was no one, but now all of a sudden he's this famous whatever. His film was in our festival, or I distributed his movie or her movie. Any success stories?
I have one that comes to the top of my head. One at our first FearCon, we had a movie that filmed that screened. It was called The Great American Snuff Film, and one of the writers went on to become the screenwriter for a TV show called 12 Monkeys, and then he became the executive producer and executive script supervisor of this new show Mayans. He's on there as well. So it's kind of cool that someone that started there with us is now where he is today, which I think he's very successful. And of course, he's moved to California, bought a new house, and life is good for them. And that for us, it feels like we accomplished something on that. I feel like we encouraged him.
Yeah, I think the closest, probably the biggest success story I had, we never fully signed. He's what we refer to as a hip pocket, meaning that we agreed to represent him without a contract. This was years ago. I think he actually might have been one of my first guys I ever signed. But I had met him at AFM, the American Film Market. And this actually might have been like maybe my first or second year in business, honestly. But he had a film called Absentia. And I thought it was cool. It was more of like kind of a drama, but it had a bit of a thriller aspect to it. And I just remember thinking like, okay, this is kind of fun. And I remember pushing it. I think we might have actually helped him sell one or two territories. I can't remember. But his name was Mike Flanagan, and Mike he's blown up since. He did Oculus. He just did. He spearheaded the entire Haunting of Hill House series on Netflix. He did Gerald's Game on Netflix. He's got some sort of Netflix deal, I think, right now. But yeah, out of everybody I've worked with, he might be the bigger one that's kind of blown up. I've had a few other ones that have gotten like overall deals with like Universal or like Lionsgate or something like that and all that stuff. But in general, like becoming kind of famous, he'd probably be the closest.
That's very cool. That's how do you both feel when that happens? When you read about it or see it or whatever, and you just say, they started here, we worked with them there. How do you feel?
I'm just really proud of them, because we want to make sure that they know that their work wasn't in vain. And it makes us feel great that they started with us.
Excellent. I couldn't change your word. I write about this all the time, and maybe because it has such a stigma to it, it's always one of my questions that I ask so many professionals. Why do you like this genre? What about horror attracts both of you?
Well, let me get into that one first.
Okay.
What do you call it? She is the reason I got into horror, period, and all that stuff. And what do you call it? One of the things that happened actually was, I can't remember. Again, this was a long time ago, but I'm very close friends with her son, Robert. And I'd come over to like for a sleepover or something like that when I was like maybe 7 or 8 or something like that. And at one point, she and Robert kept telling me about this movie called Army of Darkness. Army of Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Army of Darkness. And they're like, oh, it's hilarious, you got to see it, blah blah blah. And I remember I was like, oh, okay, great. So my parents won't let me watch it. And Chris, so I told Chris, I was like, oh, they won't let me watch it. She's like, oh, don't worry, I'll let you see it. I was like, oh, great. So she whips out the laser disc and we pop it in and we start watching it. And I just fell in love immediately because it was a little bit goofy. Like it's a little like mixture of like comedy and horror and stuff like that. But I remember to this day, it's probably one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I just loved it. But to me, for the genre, especially when you get into that specific genre, I think it's the creativity. I tend to lean, I think that's another reason why I lean so much toward like horror and sci-fi particularly, is because it's like it opens up this world of creativity where it's like you can basically do anything without making mistakes, because there are no mistakes, well, period, in filmmaking, in a sense of like, you know, the creative aspect of it and all that stuff. I mean, not to get the technical side, but like you know, I think that's what it's about, you know, is making these really like these crazy, obscure, funny, odd stories and all that stuff. It's like, you know, you look at like movies like today where it's like, you know, you literally have a movie called The Hole and it's about a kid falling in a hole and he just comes out and he's just different all of a sudden. Why? It's never explained, but it's fascinating to watch and all that stuff because he's crazy. But it's like, yeah, I think that's what I always appreciated about it, is the level of creativity that you get to have with that. And honestly, it all started with Chris.
There you go. It sort of taps into the ancient philosophy when you get right down to it, because when we look at the ancient Greek tragedies, when we look at biblical parables, no, there's not a big explanation. There is, when this happens, and we just have to follow it and feel it. So that you make a point about tapping into the ancient part of it. Well, Chris, you've corrupted this young man.
I did. And I showed him the benefits of Laserdisc. Can you believe it? Laserdisc.
There you go.
I remember that was a big deal.
Those were a big deal. We have about 300 of those. So we loved showing them off.
I'm glad you said that, because I know you are a fan all the way through. You even told me that Friday nights is Hammer Films night at your house.
Just as a really quick side note, sorry, I just have to throw this out. She likes Laserdisc more than DVD or Blu-ray because with Laserdisc, there's no menu. You push it in and you play. I never forgot you saying that.
There's no menu. You just put it in and it plays.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. But
that's okay.
I had to say it.
That's okay. So this is in your blood. This is in your Laserdiscs. Why?
I was 5. See, you saw it when you were 6, right? Or 7. I was 5, and I got chickenpox. And you live in New York, so you know this. In New York, there was Channel 9 used to do the $1 Million Movie. And $1 Million Movie back then played one movie all day for 24 hours on a loop. And I got chickenpox. And back then, if you had chickenpox, they put you in a room by yourself in the dark and you couldn't come out. And they put me in my room with a big TV set. And what was playing on my TV on $1 Million Movie was House on Haunted Hill. So I got to watch House on Haunted Hill with Vincent Price for 24 hours straight. It was on nonstop. So I got hooked. It was just like the horror, then that movie was scary, especially if you were like 5. But I just fell in love with it because, you know, watching it 3 or 4 times that day was, for me, just, I got hooked.
It would of course be Vincent Price. No one chews the scenery like Vincent Price.
That's true.
And that was one of those movies with the floating skeleton and the acid vat and, you know,
acid vat and the really good screaming. Oh my God, those women knew how to scream back then. Really good.
It's funny, and you mentioned New York. I'm from the Bronx, as other people are, and I had a very thick Bronx accent. And I watched horror movies to get rid of my accent. I watched Hammer Films and I watched Vincent Price, and I would sit in front of the television and I would just copy their voice. So instead of talking like I was from the Bronx, I would sit there and go, "Hello, I'm Vincent Price."
That's awesome.
Or I'd suddenly the Klons Chuck at midnight, and it's like I'm Peter Cushing, and I would go through all this, and out of nowhere, suddenly I speak good. So I
good. And speaking of Hammer movies, we've been watching Hammer movies every Friday night now for the last 6 months or so, and we are down to the last 3, and it really shows in their last 3 films that, wow, they have it was time to go after they partnered up with the Shaw brothers in Hong Kong, and they were doing like Peter
Legend of the 7 Golden Vampires or something like that.
We just saw that last week. It was
unbelievable. When I haven't seen that movie, but I think Peter Cushing said, "Okay, I got to pay some bills. I
got to pay some bills because it was it." But actually, that one wasn't as bad as the one we saw last week, which I still can't never mind. It was just like they have really gone. They were just needing to make movies just maybe to keep the doors open, but after that, because once they hooked up with the Shaw Brothers, it was all downhill from there.
They did one that I remember seeing on the Friday night movie on Channel 2, was Trog with Joan Crawford. And again, yes, you're right. It was, somebody needed to pay the bills.
Yes.
They're back, by the way. There is a movie, it's now, I think it's 5-6 years old, maybe 10 years old even, called Let Me In, which is based on a Swedish film called Let
the Swedish one's much better.
The Swedish one is way better.
Oh, yes, completely.
Yeah, because the Swedish one was Let the Right One In.
Yeah.
When I saw Let Me In, I sat there like this because I love the Swedish film, and I said, let's see who can do this. And when I was done with it, and I said, it's not so bad. And I stayed for the credits just to see how, who handled this movie. And when I saw it was a Hammer film, I was like, thank you, they are back. Maybe they'll stay that way. But we shall see.
We shall see. We shall see.
My first movie was The Mummy's Hand, and I watched it on a dare when I was 7 years old.
Oh, wow.
And I got hooked, and that was it. And now 50 years later, I still adore them all for the same reasons both of you do. Okay, now that we have this amazing pairing of Octane Multimedia and Phoenix FearCon, and you're coming together for the 10th anniversary, and you're both 10 years old.
Michaels, horror historian. That's, horror historian for me is the perfect host to have. Somebody who has horror inside and out of him. So when we met at Terror Talk, that was for me, this man has to be our host. So
you are most kind. The honor is all mine. I don't mind telling you.
Thank you.
And being a horror historian, that just means I watch far too many horror films. But now that we have this amazing pairing, and it's these two powerhouses, and the decade's long, sure, but what you have both accomplished in just 10 years is really incredible. Now you come together.
I have to interrupt. It's not 10 years. He's been in business for 10 years. FearCon has been around since 2006.
Yep.
So it's been around for
it's
15
been
years, but we've done 10 events inside
Right.
of 15 years.
Right.
Yes.
Well,
Thank you.
Okay. For me, it's 10.
Yeah.
That's my spin. 10. Anyway, but now that you're both come together at this point, what's in the future? Now we have this amazing event this year, next year, the year after, the year after. What are we expecting?
We've talked a little bit about this. What do you call it? I think overall, I have a deep love for FearCon, and I think that there's a lot of ways to kind of expand on the brand and everything like that. I think what we probably want to start focusing on is probably a little bit more of a buildup of additional celebrity faces. We've been talking a little bit about the idea of maybe doing like a Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell kind of like Q&A thing and all that stuff, or trying to see if we can get Andy Lincoln and John Bernthal in for to discuss Walking Dead. Like it would just be kind of like things like that. I think really kind of making sure that the fan base, we stay true to that and all that stuff, and really kind of just do what we can to kind of just continue supporting it and helping it build into the beast that I know it can be. So I think it should be fun.
And I would like to bring in Sam and Dean Winchester from Supernatural, because they have a really huge fan base, and we already bring the car, so let's bring the guys too for Supernatural. It's just like there's so many different aspects between television and movies and fan bases, and we can just cross them and bring them all together in one big event.
That would be incredible. The WB is I give them credit. They've kind of taken what Dan Curtis did with Dark Shadows and made it an industry. They
Absolutely.
have, I think it's like a half a dozen different programs that are sci-fi, fantasy, horror, things like that. The Vampire Diaries, Supernatural, etc. So many others. So you can get your fix all day long in late night horror soaps.
Absolutely,
as
and
one might say.
Supernatural has 15 seasons. It's so hard to have a TV show go that many seasons, especially in the horror genre, for 15 seasons of hardcore dedicated fans.
Yeah.
For that, and it's just amazing to me that it would have gone that far. So it deserves some recognition for sure.
It's funny you say about hardcore dedicated fans. The fans of horror movies, I think, are more hardcore than the fans of almost anything else.
Probably.
I teach, and there are times I will have my students in my theater class. I'd say, okay, pick a scene from a movie or a play or something, and present it. And I have to laugh. I can't even tell you how many people say, I have a scene from the Vampire Diaries. I have a scene from Supernatural. I have a scene from the 100. I have a scene, and I'm like, and one, it was amazing. One said, I have a scene from Last Train to Busan, and I'm like,
Wow.
oh my God. I'm like, where's Arthur Miller? Where's Tennessee Williams? Sorry, they're all going for The Walking Dead, and I think it is absolutely incredible. And considering what Jordan Peele's doing in terms of opening doors within the industry, considering the Academy Awards that are now being bestowed or nominated to horror films, we're quite a presence. We're quite a presence in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, it's grown a lot. It's grown a lot.
I can't wait to see and be there for everything that's coming up. And I can't wait to be there in October for this. Now, the joy is not only can you go there in October, but if you can't get there or you haven't had enough, how long does Phoenix FearCon last?
Well, Phoenix FearCon, the live event will be for 2 days. But then we also, because of last year having to go virtual, and it was very successful virtually, we decided to go virtual and live. And so the live event only lasts 2 days, but we are keeping the virtual event open until the end of the year. So a good 2.5, 3 months. All of the components of our live festival will be on the virtual festival. So you can watch everything for the next 3 months at your leisure, rather than have to go within a strict time table.
That's why I affectionately call all these interviews Phoenix FearCon TV. What festival anywhere in any country lasts for 3 months? You go a week, a weekend, a month, 3 months, and you can get it anywhere in the world. You literally are a channel. This festival has become a channel, and I think that's incredible. And those of you attending the event, hey, look for all of us. We'll say hello. And those of you who cannot, log on to phoenixfearcon.com to get all the information on how you can watch all of these movies, all of these interviews, and there's even events that are going to be on these musical events. There's theatrical events that are going to be on this site. It is a full station of everything that the festival has, and I think that's incredible. For 3 months, absolutely marvelous. It's a pleasure to speak to both of you. I know you have a million things to do, so I'm gonna leave you to it. But thank you so much for chatting with me and telling all of us about FearCon. I can't wait, and I know I'm not alone in looking forward to what's going to be the film festival event of the season for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, we really are excited too.
Pleasure to meet you, Cyberly. Can't wait to meet you in person at the event. And Chris, I can't wait to see you again at the event.
Same here. You take care.
Thanks. Ciao.
Thank you.